Hello. Today we visit an r/AskReddit post to ask what food can duck right off. I had no idea what this thread was getting at, so I believe it is asking what is the most disgusting food. Hence the name of the video. Make sure to comment your least favorite food or the most disgusting food in your opinion. With that, sit back and enjoy. Shark fin soup. To all who want to try this for curiosity, just order the imitation version. Tastes exactly the same. Source: experience from attending weddings every year until it was illegal to sell where I live. Shark fins are tasteless. The soup tastes the exactly same without them. Fake ones or even glass noodles would do if the soup itself is good. This is my food pet peeve, when a dish has flavor that doesn't require a certain ingredient. I saw something about people eating pig brains covered in curry and various spices. They were like, "Oh my god, it's delicious," and I thought, yeah, it's delicious cause of the seasoning. You don't need to put a ducking squishy might kill you with prion's brain in the dish. Not only are sharks tasteless, but full of mercury too. Not to mention having zero food value too, as they are very similar to your fingernails. Sharks have been around longer than trees, and we've managed to wipe out up to 75% of some species. The number of sharks I see when scuba diving in Asia compared to Caribbean is just astounding, because they've almost completely been fished out in Asia. There are now boats going as far as the Galapagos Islands, because there are so few left anywhere near China. To anyone still not sold on sparing the sharks, please believe what others are saying. The imitation version is just as good, if not better, because it's the soup that makes it delicious, not the shark fin. Burger in a can. Just why? Wait, what the duck? It's like a fleshlight but with a Big Mac. I've seen a whole chicken in a can. Was the saddest looking chicken I've ever seen in my life. Also the most disgusting looking. The chicken in the can is actually perfectly edible. It's not a presentation worthy chicken in that form, but if you use it in another dish like a soup or enchiladas, it's fine. Anything made from the parts of an endangered or vulnerable species. Looking at you, puffin eaters. What the duck? People eat puffins? I just had a panic attack as my mum used to make cinnamon puffins when I was a kid, and just now I thought that they had something to do with the bird. I'm relieved that I had a brain fart and I was entirely incorrect. In Iceland they do. Only at certain times of the year from what I gathered. I went to Iceland on exchange and worked in a traditional restaurant. They had smoked puffin, horse steak and whale steak. Any food that still moves when you eat it. I have been accused of eating a steak that a good vet could have saved. Waiter, how would you like your steak cooked? My uncle just hurt its feelings a little. My uncle used to say that he wants it like the cow just walked by the fire. I might have met your uncle 18 to 20 years ago at a buffet. Went to get a steak, and if you catch them at the right time, or ask, they'll have a fresh one for you to put on the grill. Chef asked him how he wanted his steak, and dude's response was, "I'll say when." I swear I washed my hands before grabbing my plate to go grab food longer than that steak was on the grill and on his plate. Reheated fish at work. I once had a boss who thought it would boost employee morale to hold a fish fry Friday. Inside the office. They brought their deep fryer from home and spent 3 hours frying fish in the lunchroom. The place reeked for weeks. I had to read this twice. Just to make sure it was real, and then I cackled out loud. This some Michael Scott shit right here, LMAO. I ate tuna every day. Until one day my coworker asked me, "Hey, please never bring tuna to work ever again. It smells and I can't take it anymore." While I felt bad I must have really pushed her patience, I appreciated the clear request. Help me understand, because from my experience, nobody is offended when fish is cooking, only when it's being reheated around other adults in the workplace? Why is that? Fresh fish, cooked, should smell nice. Briny and aromatic. But fish starts to break down very quickly. Even fish that has been cooked, getting reheated a day or two later, can smell pretty rancid. Add in that, at work, you are in a small communal space with other people, and it's a recipe for a lot of pissed off coworkers. Kopi Luwak. I love coffee, but I'm okay never trying coffee beans from civet feces. I've tried it. I'm convinced the only reason people claim it's great is because the alternative is admitting they were suckered into drinking ground up cat shit. I was suckered into drinking ground up cat shit and it was awful. This is my theory on Bloody Marys. Seafood, liquor, and hot sauce sounds like a frat house dare, and people just say they like it to trick others into drinking it. Depends on when you tried it. Initially, it was from wild civets who got to choose their own food, so they picked the best beans. Once people saw they can make big money on cat shit coffee, civets in cages, up to and including force feeding, so no more quality beans only diet. I'm not sure if there is anything chemically going on with the civet digestion of the beans, but them being able to pick the best beans probably played a larger role in why the coffee was good. As I understand it, the civet digestion system is supposed to strip away only like the very outer layer of membrane of the coffee bean, which is supposed to produce a better tasting coffee with less impurity. But I wouldn't know because I'm not paying a premium on cat shit coffee. Anything I cook for my husband apparently. My wife thinks that if something should cook for a half hour at 350, you should be able to cook it in 15 minutes at 700 degrees. My uncle. I hate sweet pickles so goddamn much. Someone decided to take a cucumber and pickle it, but decided to waste it instead. Jesus, you're correct. Butter pickles? Shoot me. I'll leave the sandwich for you. The pickle world begins and ends with dill. Do you want to spice up a dill? Cool. I'm with you. But it all starts with a dill pickle. The worst thing is that you can't tell they are sweet by looking. I love dill pickles and spicy pickles, but so many times I've gotten a pickle in a restaurant setting and faced the horror, revulsion, and disappointment of a sweet pickle when I take the first bite. 2 words. Live. Octopus. In the same vein, live frogs. Anything alive, but like. That one messed me up. Black licorice. If you like it, you can have my share. Balut. I don't know what this is, but I'm getting context clues from the comments and don't like the picture my brain's piecing together. It's a boiled egg with a developed fetus inside it instead of the yolk. Sorry if I ruined your day. Thanks, I hate it. The yolk is not what becomes the chicken. The yolk is more similar to the human placenta. It provides nutrients to the animal as it grows inside the egg. The cells that develop into the chicken are a tiny white sac attached to the yolk. I have quite a few, but canned straw mushrooms were the bane of my youth. 1. What are straw mushrooms? 2. Why are we canning them? 1. Popular in Asia, which is why my Ohio ass didn't know. 2. You put them in a can so it'll survive the trip to your store. Surströmming. That's the nasty shit that recommends you open a can underwater because it smells so ducking horrible. I would like to say on behalf of Scandinavia, except some Swedish, that we totally agree. Another minus to the stank is that it gets everywhere when you open the can. The fact that it hisses at you when you open it is a perfect example of why it shouldn't exist as a canned food. Let me be honest, I had no idea what surströmming was, so I had to look it up. According to Google, it is lightly salted herring from the Baltic Sea, prominent in Swedish tradition. So from my understanding it is disgusting canned fish. I saw a recipe a while back for this 1950s lobster mayonnaise gelatin. That particular recipe can, in my humble opinion, duck right off. The 50s and 60s had savory jell-o, often served with mayonnaise. Salmon farmed in the Patagonia fjords. Aquaculture production of salmon here in southern Chile is responsible for countless number of feces, plastic, hormones, antibiotics, dead fish, and spills floating around what a lot of people call home. The fish meal these fish get fed comes from massive trawling ships that deplete fish populations in other parts of the world just to feed this invasive species. Chitterlings. My grandfather, God rest his smart-ass soul, would always ask the server at breakfast if they had cold oatmeal and lard. Once on a family trip to, I think, Tennessee, he popped off with that and the waitress didn't miss a beat and replied, "No, but we can do a mean chitlins and whipped cream," and acted like she was starting to write it down for him. Never before had I seen him backpedal, but he wanted exactly 0 of that. Gave him shit about that for probably 20 years. Chitlings and whipped cream? That's what she said, hand to heart. No, we never saw it. I'm guessing that had been a go-to for her for years and that nobody had ever taken them up on it. The thought enough to turn you off of food for the day. A roommate once cooked them and I swear there is nothing that smells worse. And see, I used to love chitlings. Then one fine early summer afternoon, I found myself driving through the foothills in Tennessee. I came over a rise, down into this holler between 2 huge hills. There was a little soul food restaurant down there. They were boiling a huge oil vat of chitlings outside. Well, between the humidity, still air, and being stuck in that holler, When I tell you the air was opaque with the scent of hot pig shit, I am only marginally exaggerating. If it had been a cartoon, the air would have been a purple miasma full of little floating skulls. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever smelled, but it was definitely the worst thing I've ever smelled that was destined for consumption. Haven't been able to stomach them since, and it's been the better part of a decade. Again, I had no idea what chitterlings is, so I had to do some Googling. Apparently, they are small intestines of a domestic animal, mainly pig. From these accounts I am staying far away from this food. I know the top ones are all people giving insane things. But as a southerner I hate okra. I don't want a slightly fuzzy tube full of snot. I don't care if it makes the gumbo silkier, I don't care about the flavor. The texture makes me feel like I'm eating an old man's nose. I agree with you, but aren't there a bunch of preparations of okra that get rid of the snottiness? I've hopped around the southeast a ton and I've only been served snotty okra like once or twice. Durian. Used to live in China and they put it on so many things, even pizza. Just smelling it makes me nauseous. A friend on mine was evacuated at work because people thought there was a gas leak. Farees turned up and did a search, turns out it was a durian in an office. I've tried durian ice cream and didn't see what the fuss was. My guess is that they used the tiniest amount. Durian is fairly tasty and when near frozen it basically tastes like custard. When it starts warming up, it's like Uncle Joe is in the next room farting up a storm, and the warmer it gets it's like Uncle Joe keeps moving closer and his farts are getting wetter. Most people on here won't know this, but to those that do. Smelly tofu. A train in Japan got evacuated a few years back because they thought there was a chemical terrorist attack. Nope, just someone eating lunch. I'll eat anything once, even had tarantula, but when I was in Taiwan I repeatedly flaked out about 2 meters from the stuff. Edit, not natto. Natto is a different food, and is Japanese. I'm talking about a specific Chinese, Taiwanese food named smelly tofu. That stuff smells so vile. A few years ago the night market had a stall selling it. OMG, you could smell that rotting sewage smell for blocks. I kept waiting for my nose to adjust, and it never did. Raisins. They hide in oatmeal raisin cookies, looking like chocolate chips until you bite into it and realize you've been had. Raisins are liars. I once ordered a burger at a restaurant that came with raisins mixed into the barbecue sauce. What kind of dipshit mockery is that? Yuck. Edit, I don't hate raisins. In this instance, it was upwards of 15 whole, soggy raisins mixed into the sauce and put on a burger that also had typical salad that goes on a burger. Has anyone eaten tomato and raisins together before and actually enjoyed it? I second the edit and the first comment. I don't hate raisins, but I hate raisins when you put them into other things. Like cookies and barbecue sauce. With that, thank you for watching all the way until the end, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your least favorite food or a food you think is absolutely disgusting. If you want to continue to watch my content, click one of the videos above. Until next time.